right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in Game 3, the ace match of this best of 3. It's $50 winner take all for this quick warm-up for the best of 9 Quantic versus Root Showdown. This is Rifkin, I'm casting with Root Nathanius. It's spawning down here in the lower left corner of the map, playing for Team Complexity. You know what? I introduced him 2 times, I'll swap it up. Up here in the upper right corner of the map, playing for Team StarCraft Ascension, it's the yellow Protoss player, AiuR.
Alright, yeah, and he just tied things up against this guy in the bottom left position, the pink Zerg. A lot of Zergs like to color pink for some reason, but from Complexity Gaming, it is Sasquatch.
You know, pink and purple, that's kind of like the campaign colors of Zerg, so I can see the influence bleeding over. It's like when you see red Terrans or green Terrans.
Some colors just really fit races, to be honest.
I know, like, it's weird to say that, but you're 100% correct.
Does, you're right, it actually feels, yeah, but...
Can you imagine if we said that in real life, though? Like, some colors fit races, talking about, like, Africa or something. Like, you were thrown out of everything the second you say something like that. But in StarCraft, it's actually accurate.
So, I mean, would you say yellow matches the Protoss? I feel like I see a lot of, like, purple Protosses, to be honest. Like, I feel like purple's a good Protoss color.
I feel the yellow. I feel yellow.
Yeah, yellow. Yellow's really good, too.
I don't know. Okay, anyways, New Planet S. Guys, we were talking about it before the game. I'll show you real quick. Maybe you've never seen StarCraft before, because I do know we actually have a couple people into StarCraft for the first time here tonight. The third bases we were talking about prior to the game are either down here to the south, well, for this for Sasquatch, or up here to the north. And the problem is, as you can see, there's very large openings and multiple ways to hit both of these bases. So taking a third base early like this is Sasquatch, and it's a little bit ballsy, but if he can get away with it, so much the better.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of interesting because this map is classically known as being difficult to get a third base on for Protoss players, but for Zergs, it's kind of like, hey man, if you get the creep spread going, if you get what you need, you're honestly not gonna run into too much difficulty keeping that third base alive. It does make things like force fields good because you do have that very tight choke point at the entrance, the right side to the third base here for Sasquatch. So if you can funnel units through there, that's nice. But more importantly is the ramp.
I just realized too, this was super greedy out of Sasquatch. That was 3 hatch before pool. I thought the pool was already down.
Yeah.
Just completely misreading this. This is a really greedy opening.
Yeah, but you know what though? I feel like he's, the first 2 games against his opponent, he's basically said, okay, you're not going to throw any kind of big, big gateway timing, or even just go for a gateway expand. So he's anticipated this very fast nexus into the forge, into the gateway, and that's what AiuR's done. He really hasn't switched it up. The only difference, of course, being that in game number 1 and game number 2, it was how fast he got the robotics facility. But all of his pushes were centered around 10 minutes, which means the Sasquatch, I think it's a great play to get away with this greed, and he can pretty much do whatever he wants, I honestly feel like.
And the thing too, like, there's a lot of pro players who discuss this, and I'm talking not just top GMs, but I mean like the guys you see in tournaments regularly who say you can't go with the same strategy. You cannot be predictable, and AiuR has been predictable, and I think that's really going to bite him in the ass if Sasquatch can get away with this. Now, of course, as a Protoss player, it's very easy to throw down 7 gates, do an 8 gate all in, and completely change that around. But for the time being, if he plays this out standard, Sasquatch is going to slowly pull ahead.
Yeah, and that's just simply how it is when you took a risk, and I can't blame Sasquatch. If he expects a 10-minute timing, his base will have more than paid off. So this is where things get interesting, Rifkin. We have the robotics facility coming in. Is it just going to be another Immortal push? I'm feeling like it, honestly. This is not a bad map for Immortal timings at all.
Nathanius, I just want to state, you've just given me all of the goosebumps because I've cast with a multitude of other people, not just from Basetradetv, but guest casters like yourself, and you're probably the first person in a year who's actually used my name in a cast. No one tosses off to me. I freaking feel so weird and honored right now.
I got your back. This +1 feels late though. I don't know. This could get frisky.
Yeah, the +1's nice if you go for a timing, because for those who don't know, +1 Zealots, they 2-shot Zerglings instead of 3-shot them. If you get a meat grinder going in with some force fields, you can do a lot of damage. But as Nathanius just said, it's not super late, but just like a little bit late.
Yeah, and well, there's the Immortal coming in. I'm just gonna say it's got to be that Immortal Sentry timing. So Difference between this and the first time that it happened on Belshir is that there's really not an Overlord in position to actually scout what's in the base. He doesn't know about the Robo, he doesn't know about the gateways, and we haven't actually seen the rest of the gateways come up here, but Sasquatch is getting his Roach Warrant, and he's even getting preemptive Spore Crawlers because he doesn't have that information.
Yeah, the thing too is you don't want to be caught off guard. Like, it's very easy to suspect a Protoss player of going something like Dark Temper, going for Phoenixes. Spore Crawlers covers both of those options, but sadly neither are what AiuR is doing. Now, if Sasquatch can get wind of this soon enough, you bet we'll probably see a bunch of Spine Crawlers come down once again. We saw how well that held in the first game on Belshir, and it can certainly do it again on a map like Neoplanet S. Let's not forget too, on Neoplanet S, there's only really 2 paths of attack, so it's easy to tell where your opponent's coming from as a Zerg player who's got Overlords spread all over the place.
Yeah. Interesting to note, though, the only Overlord he really has is the one that's watching the entrance to the Natural, and it doesn't actually see that hole in the wall.
But rest in peace, this northern
units are
one.
Yeah. I love this, though, because the thing is, you kill off this Overlord, and Sasquatch is thinking, well, he's either taking a third base, or he's just killing. You know, you don't really expect a player to go kill that.
Oh, he didn't see the Immortals, and they just snuck past the Overseer. Morphing in, of course, loses the vision temporarily. So Sasquatch just barely missed the 3 Immortals and the massive sentries moving out. Oh my god, okay, well, he's got Lings on the field. He's scouting around. Oh, but he's pulling the back. Oh god, Nathanias, everything going wrong for Sasquatch right now.
Yeah, not having the information is huge. Also, keep this in mind, the evolution chambers are just starting. There's no upgrades for these Zerglings. Speed is just about to finish, but he won't have the 1-1, which means those Zealots will two-shot those Zerglings. They will do catastrophic amounts of damage. And the Roaches that he's building, well, I mean, the Immortals just blow those to smithereens.
Yeah, he's really got to bank on getting Spine Crawlers or Hydras, or both, quite frankly, to hold this off. He does have the Hydralisk Den down, but of course that's a big investment of gas, which he doesn't have a lot of right now. Well, actually, he doesn't have a lot of gas. Sorry, I meant minerals. Ugh.
It's all good. He's got a pretty strong force, though, AiuR, at this point. And I honestly have to say I'm a bit scared for Sasquatch, because this, as he gets closer here, look at this corridor. This is so easy to force field off. He can lock him in here. Yeah, this is exactly what AiuR wants. I mean, there's a creep tumor here, so he can see the army, but even drops the time warp saying, yeah, just try to catch me. I will get to this very tight choke point between these rocks.
Oh, and if he gets to the top, he can zone out half of this army. This is the majority of Sasquatch's army. 1 force field, 2 force, 3 force fields. Well, whatever. It might be a little too many, but it's still good enough. Spine Crawler's getting taken out here, too. The Roach is trying to push forward. He's actually focusing down the Immortals. The first couple fell. There's one, actually, sorry, the one in the back still full health. The other one getting very low, but just barely not going to go down.
Yeah, just great control, keeping that Immortal alive. It finally does get taken out, but the last one remaining has 11 kills, now to 12. He's killed off all the Zerglings. There's a few Hydras, but everything else gets chewed apart in the meantime. And keep in mind, there is still that warp prison, more Zealots being warped, and those force fields, spectacular. Those evolution chambers are basically acting as additional force fields at this point. This is such a tight choke point for Sasquatch to try to hold.
But the cute thing is, look at this. AiuR's actually backing up because he doesn't know if he's got enough to finish this. Sasquatch has shown forces and pulled back. So it kind of, at first glance, looks like he might have more than he actually does. We'll see if that really works, though, because right now he's bulking up those reinforcements.
Yeah, he's building more units. I can't blame him, but still have to keep in mind that those Zerglings will not be, the most cost-effective as possible versus these Zealots with that +1. The Hydras, I think the more Hydras you get in this situation, the better, just because they don't take the bonus damage, but they also don't have the range upgrade, so the force fields are going to block out their attacks quite well. And here he goes. He's going to step in. No more force fields just yet. He does have the Guardian Shield up, but, just sitting here and killing this hatchery isn't really going to do it for AiuR. Either, so it's kind of just a war of who's actually going to be willing to attack first.
I think he's trying to bait Sasquatch into the fight here. He's purposely, okay, well, I think that was an accident killing the evolution chamber, because as you said, there's actually the perfect surface area for him to take an army on here.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's trying to bait him in and just try to use the force fields to contain small pieces of the army at once. He's scared to fight the entire force.
Yeah, I'm just going to take this out. You're not going to fall for it. I'll just take out the free hatchery and go home. Or even continue to push, rather. I mean,
I think he's going to keep pushing.
Well, this is way better for him to engage out here at the bottom of the ramp than at the top of the base where he was so heavily choked off.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's another Guardian Shield gets popped. There's still only one Immortal with this force, so the Roaches aren't as terrible, but with the supply being favoring AiuR, this Protoss army almost looks unstoppable. That +1 attack is so nice to have. And there, the range upgrade's just starting. I think Sasquatch has realized just how badly he needs this, but There's so many zealots in here. This is going to be very difficult. Sasquatch is just going to go for it and pulls back as AiuR does step up the ramp. With this many force fields available, you absolutely cannot attack into any choke point versus this. He has to wait at the bottom of the ramp and just try to catch him here with this round. His army is already split in two. Looks like AiuR is just playing this very patiently.
I'm really surprised, Sasquatch. I mean, he's just doing what he can to hang in here. Nice force fields go down once again, but there's so many sentries with this army. He can afford to burn as many sentries, force fields as he needs to.
Yeah, and he does pick off a decent number of those units. The supply still favoring AiuR, and now he's actually going to chase down that little chunk of army that Sasquatch left out there. But he can't really do too much with it. He doesn't have the creep there anymore. I don't even think he has... he does have the roach speed, but those will die anyway.
He's actually getting quite a few sentries here in the back end. AiuR a little distracted with that one force, I guess. But again, he's got so many extras, it doesn't matter if he loses 3 or 4 even. But, you know, this sort of situation, Nathaniel, and for those like who don't watch a lot of the European scene, this is why you see base trades become a lot more common in CVP. Holding this push for Sasquatch, not very easy.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where sometimes you see guys throw on a ton of spine crawlers and just try to kill off the production back at home, but he's just going to continue to press forward here. AiuR does seem to have finally run out of his seemingly endless number of force fields. He's still pressing forward, and yeah, Sasquatch just can't stop it. GG.
Well, was not expecting that, but this is what I'm talking about, guys. You got players like this lurking in the shadows who are not well known, and AiuR manages to take a 2-1 over Sasquatch for the warm-up match. But because it's 8 o'clock, we will be ringing right into the best of 9. We have representatives from each team in the channel already, and we'll get things sorted. I'll have the managers message me who they're sending out first.